ADAA, American with Disabilities Accessibility Guidelines, they're just guidelines. They can become a code if they are adopted by a state, county, or city as a code. Until then, they're just guidelines. They were revised in July 2004 to become more consistent with the IBC and ANSI standards. ADA clear opening requirement. The ADA guidelines, and this is the 2004 version, 404.2.3 clear width. Door openings shall provide a clear width of 32 inches minimum. Clear openings of doorways with swinging doors shall be measured between the inside face of the door and the stop with the door at 90 degrees. Openings more than 24 inches deep shall provide a clear opening of 36 inches. In other words, if you've got that opening set back into an alcove that's more than 24 inches, you need to actually make the door a little bit wider because you've got to get that, you can't get that maneuvering clearance that you would if the door was out on the face. Now there's also this little part. There shall be no projections into the required clear opening width lower than 34 inches above the finished floor or ground. Projections into the clear opening width between 34 inches and 80 inches above the finished floor or ground shall not exceed 4 inches. In other words, what they're trying to do is, because somebody in a wheelchair, they're trying to get a clear zone through that opening. Because the original statement was 32 inches clear to the face of the door, from the face of the door to the stop. They're saying that you can't just now encroach into that space with a full height push handle. You're going to interrupt somebody. So what they want to do is have a clear zone to go through. Balance doors and a clear opening is, people don't quite understand this, so we're going to try to go into this a little bit. The clear opening for a balance door, again, open to 90 degrees. And again, because that door does come over near the hinge jamb when it's fully open, again, you have that 4-inch takeoff. For a balance door, a 37-inch door leaf will get you a 32-inch clear opening. And the math is, with the door fully open, you got 4 inches plus 32, and then the stop, whether it be 5/8 thick if it was extruded, or maybe 3/4 for formed up material. So if you take basically an inch, so if you have 1 inch, 32 inch, and 4 inch, you come up with a 37-inch door leaf will give you that 32-inch clear opening. Difference being is, though, obviously with a balance door, you have this 3-inch jamb on either side as opposed to maybe a smaller 2-inch jamb. So the overall frame size would be about 42 5/8 to get you that 32-inch clear opening. For a pair of doors, a 36-inch door leaf will get you a 32-inch clear opening with one door open to 90 degrees. And the math on that is, you've got basically your 72-inch jamb. You're going to divide it in two, and then you're going to lose 4 inches from the face of the frame to the face of the door, and then about a 1/16 of an inch or half of that gap between the two doors. So in other words, a pair of 36-inch doors will get you a 32-inch clear opening on a balance door, which is comparable to a swing or pivot door. Again, the difference is you do have a 3-inch frame to house that balanced hardware. So your overall frame width out to out is 78 inches to get you that 32-inch clear opening. But again, it's not much different than a conventional pivot door. Okay, the ADA opening force requirement, and this is something that's always debated a lot, what's in the ADA guidelines and what's not in the ADA guidelines. Again, the 2004 version and some of the earlier versions as well, there is no opening force listed for exterior doors, not in the ADA guidelines. This is what it actually reads. Section 404.2.9, door and gate opening force. Okay, the force for pushing or pulling to open the door or gate shall be as follows. Now they have two things listed: interior hinge doors, 5 pounds, sliding or folding doors, 5 pounds. But what you see is there's no listing for exterior doors. There really is, it's in some older versions they had it reserved, but in the newer version, 2004, they basically took it out. And here's the reason why. Because the forces do not, they say, the forces do not apply to the force required to retract latch bolts or disengage other devices that hold the door or gate in the closed position. And that's what they know, that if you have an exterior door, basically you might have a panic device or some kind of latching device on that door. And to get that door to close and latch, you need more force than the 5 pounds to get it to relatch properly. So therefore, because of that, they've taken away the opening force for an exterior door. They also have an advisory that says further that the maximum force pertains to the continuous application of the force necessary to fully open the door, not the initial force needed to overcome the inertia of the door. It does not apply to the force required to retract bolts or to disengage other devices used to keep the door in the closed position. Now, there's also some misconception about the ADA and power operation. The ADA guidelines do not mandate the use of power operation. There is no really language that says you have to have a power operator to meet the ADA guidelines. What they do have is language that if you do use power operation, you do have to comply with certain ANSI BHMA standards. In other words, if you're, in this case, if you're using a low energy power operator, you have to comply with ANSI 15619.